This is Module 5, Lesson 8. We're still dealing with volume. We're going to talk about the volume of composite figures. We're going to talk about the volume of cones, cylinders, spheres, and prisms, all put together to make composite figures. Let's repeat this. This is a cylinder, looks like a can of beans. This is a cone, looks like an ice cream cone. This is a sphere, it looks like a ball. So let's go ahead and work on some of these. Now, I don't have these listed for you in your workbook because these are actually in the Module 7 Eureka workbook. Now, I have not given that one out yet. So let's see what we can do here. Let's write an expression that can be used to find the volume of the chest shown below, and then we're going to find the volume of it using 3.14 as an approximation for pi. Okay, so hold on. Let me see if we can get this set up so we can use this. Okay. Okay. If we look at the bottom, the figure that's here on the bottom, let's see what type of figure that is. What are we seeing here? We're seeing basically a box, right? A prism. Okay, so to find the total volume of this, let's break this into pieces. First, let's find the volume of this box or this prism. And let's add to it the volume of this top part here. What type figure is the top part? Let's draw this off in blue so we can see it. What type figure is that looking like? Does that look like maybe half of a cylinder? So there's half of a cylinder, right? Because if I took this and pulled it down here, I'd be looking at half of a cylinder, okay? So we're trying to find the volume of the prism plus the volume of the half of a cylinder. That's what we're trying to do. The volume of the prism. Let's try this. The volume of a prism, volume would be length times width times height. The length of that was 15.3. The width of that was 4. The height of that was 6. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in a calculator and figure out the volume of that prism. That would be 15.3 times 4 times 6, which would give me 367.2 cubic feet. 367.2 cubic feet. Okay. I'm going to put it here so you can see that the bottom part's that. Now let's handle the top part, the prism, okay? Or the cylinder. The volume of half of a cylinder, when we know the formula for a cylinder, if you look at your formula sheet, it's pi r squared h. Now, they said to use 3.14 for pi, so we're going to substitute 3.14 in for pi. Our radius, okay, now the distance all the way across on this is the same as this in the box, is 4. So halfway across would be half of that, it would be 2. The radius is 2. The height, that's going to be this distance here, right on our can, on our cylinder, which is 15.3, okay? So now we need to find all of that, and then we need to divide it by 2 because we want half of the cylinder, right? So let's do this. 3.14 times 2 squared, which is 2 times 2 times 15.3. And that should give us 192.2. Let's look and see. And you divide that by 2, and you get 96.1 cubic feet, right? That's the volume of your cylinder. So our cylinder is 96.1 Oops. Our prism was 367.2. This is 96.1 up here. Add those two together, 367.2 plus 96.1, and you get 463.3. 463.3 cubic feet. Okay? That covers the volume of this figure. The volume of the prism plus the volume of half of a cylinder. Okay, let's try this figure, and let's get an approximate volume of it. Let's say that we're going to use 3.14 for pi to get our approximation. Okay, what type figure is this top one? It's a sphere because it looks like a ball. This one would be a cylinder. This one would be a prism. Okay, so the total volume is going to be equal to the volume of that sphere plus the volume of the cylinder plus the volume of the prism. Okay, the volume of the sphere, the formula for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi radius cubed. All I need is my radius on this ball up here. Well, if that's 5, then this is 5, and that is my diameter, right? Because when you're looking at a circle, all the way across is your diameter. Half the way across is your radius. I know that because if I write down radius and I write down diameter, diameter is the longer word. The radius is the one that's halfway across. So if I take this 5 and I divide by 2, my radius is going to be equal to 2.5. So here, let's plug this in. 4/3 times pi, which we are using as 3.14, times your radius cubed, that's 2.5 raised to the third power. Okay, that's 4 divided by 3 times 3.14 times 2.5 squared, which is 2.5 times 2.5, if you need to do that. That would give me 26.2 as the volume of our sphere. And that would be in what? Cubic inches. 26.2. See, this part here would be 26.2 cubic inches. Okay, now let's find the volume of the cylinder that it sits on. That cylinder would be pi r squared h. That would be, we're going to substitute for pi 3.14. Your radius on your cylinder there, if the distance all the way across is 1, your radius is half that, which would be, radius in that case would be 1 divided by 2, which is 0.5. Okay. We square that one. And then our height on this is 6. Okay, so the volume of the cylinder, 3.14 times, in parentheses, 0.5 squared, I'm going to close my parentheses, times 6, okay? And I got 4.7. You don't have to put it in parentheses, I just did. 4.7. So the volume of the cylinder would be 4.7 cubic inches. I'm going to substitute this in for the cylinder. Now let's figure out the prism. The volume of that prism. Volume of a prism is length times width times height. Okay, our length is 5. Our width is 5. Our height is 2. 5 times 5 is 25 times 2 is 50. Okay, so let's add all of this together because this part down here is 50 cubic inches. Okay, add them together, 26.2 plus 4.7 plus 50, and that would give me 80.9. Let's see. Hold on a minute, let's see something on the sphere. that's right. Okay. You add those two together. Let's see, those three together. 26.2 plus 4.7 plus 50 would give you 80.9 cubic inches. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's try this one. Write an expression that can be used to find this. So they want to find the exact volume here. So we're not going to use anything for pi. We're going to leave pi in here. First off, the top part is a cylinder and the bottom part is a cone. So the volume is going to be equal to, the total volume is going to be equal to the volume of that cylinder plus the volume of the cone. The volume of the cylinder, let's do that one. The formula for volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. That would be pi times the radius on our cylinder is 4. The height on our cylinder is 14. Let's plug that in. 4 squared times 14. It's 224 pi. The volume for our cone, let's do that. Volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared height. That is 1/3 pi, we leave pi alone. Our radius is 8. Our height is 16. Okay. So that would be 8 squared, which is 64, times 16. Then I'm going to divide it by 3. That gives me 341 pi. So this is 224 pi plus 341 pi. And what do I get? 224 plus 341. That would give me 565 pi, right? 565 pi. Look at something real quick. I know what we did wrong here on our volume of our sphere. We didn't do 2.5 cubed. Let's try this. 2.5 times 2.5 times 2.5 times 3.14 times 4 divided by 3 would give us 65.4, not 26.2. And change this. 65.4. I thought I'd messed that up. Let's change this real quick, guys. $65.4 plus 50 plus 4.7 would give me 120.1, okay? 120.1 cubic inches. This one here is 65.4, okay? Now, what if I were trying to find the volume of this? This is a hole through here. It's a cylindrical shaped hole. To do that, the total volume would be equal to the volume of the prism, the big block here, minus the volume of this cylinder. Okay, so let's do the volume of the prism. It's a box, so that's length times width times height. Your length here is 8.5. Your width here is 6. Your height here is 21.25. Let's multiply those. 8.5 times 6 times 21.25, 1083.8. The volume of the prism, 1083.8. Okay, I'm going to substitute that in here. Let's subtract the volume of the cylinder. Okay, let's find the volume of that cylinder. The volume of the cylinder is pi radius squared height. Now, let's find your radius here. All the way across, okay, let's see. If all the way across here is 8.5, these two pieces are 4. So 8.5 minus 2 minus 2 gives me 4.5 left. This diameter is 4.5. But I need the radius. So the radius is going to be equal to 4.5 divided by 2, which is 2.25. So over here, our volume is equal to pi, which we're going to put in as 3.14, times our radius, 2.25 squared, times our height. And the height on this cylinder is the same as this length here, isn't it? Okay, 6. So let's put this in, 3.14 times 2.25 times 2.25 times 6 will give me 95.4. Okay. So 1083.8 minus 95.4 would give me 900.4. And what units is that? Cubic inches. Okay. And then this last one down here that we're going to do, this is a cake. We want to know how big it is. They want this in exact volume. So we leave the pi in. What do I have? I have a little cylinder, a middle-sized cylinder, and a big cylinder. So the total volume here would be equal to the volume of the little cylinder plus the volume of the mid-sized cylinder plus the volume of the big cylinder, okay? The volume of the little cylinder, let's try that one. Volume is pi, your volume would be equal to pi r squared h. Pi, and what's our radius? It's 2. What's our height? It's 4, so 2 squared, 4. 2 squared is 4 times 4 is 16. The volume is 16 pi for this one. The volume of the middle-sized cylinder. Pi, and our radius is 4, and our height is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4. 64. Volume's equal to 64 pi. Okay, and then the big cylinder, volume of the big cylinder. That would be volume is pi r squared h. Okay, we don't mess with the pi. Our radius is 8 squared times our 4. Okay, so 8 squared times 4 would give us 256 pi. Okay, now let's add those together. 16 plus 64 plus 256. That's 336 pi. Okay? 336 pi. And that covers all of our composites volume that I wanted to do for now.